Now, when BioShock was released back in 2009, it revolutionized many video games with an example of first-person view with a mix of horror. And what's very important to find to believe that many critics and gamers will agree that the most extent to the entire game that got hyped up was the fact that you're fighting in between the grounds of an underwater city, something so simple as fighting in space or including on land. And we can never forget about the clear example of gameplay throughout this whole series. For example, if you want to pack a damage punch when it comes to the example of taking down a Big Daddy, why don't you actually take a shotgun to him right into the face? And if you feel like that's not doing the job, why don't you use a bazooka while you're at it? And if you feel like killing splicers with a satisfactory of getting headshots, use a revolver, including why don't you use a Tommy gun? You like testing your intelligence? Well, look no further more than BioShock. Always finish a grand amount of puzzles that you see awake of the game. Always hack terminals, cameras, including safes so you can get the amount of materials and money you need to stay alive. And last and certainly not least, the main thing that made this game famous and a major cult following in the first place has to be the plasmids itself. Now, there's many culture of plasmids, so many so that I have to make a list on it. So guys, here are the top 5 best plasmids in all of BioShocks. Now here are the rules, they're quite very simple. All you have to say is from any BioShock game and including why do you like it in the first place. And please guys, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into this video.
Stun your foes with 1,000 volts. Shock them in water to deal damage.
Electric Bolt. Now, this is the first plasmid you would get in throughout the whole game during the opening. In fact, you managed to even get it in part 1 and 2. And despite that, people have not yet complained about the entire efficacy of this one. Maybe it's trained to feature how useful it can be. You could stun enemies and do double the damage when you either do with bullets, including one with melee damage, including electrocute any devices that you see in front of you when it comes to turrets, including one with cameras. As long as you hit them with that bolt, they'll also be stunned, and I'll give you more than enough time to get to them and be able to successfully hack them. And the reason that this plasmid is so low on the list, well, it's quite simple to believe that yes, it's quite useful and throughout the whole length of the game, but as you progress to upgrade it, you'll be able to shoot a mega bolt that would also be pacified and connect to enemies along the way, including if they're very close to water. But the main downside to this is that the fact that this wastes 25% more of your power, so you'll be wasting more than you had before. So yes, it is a good plasmid, but it does not deserve to be at number 1.
Freeze your enemies. Shatter them into 1,000 pieces.
Winter Blast. Now this one is quite different than any other one that you have seen. Not only that you'll be able to freeze people in place, but you manage to do double the damage as they're frozen as you shatter them into 1,000,000 pieces. Like Electric Bolt, you'll be able to hold down the trigger and make a whole big flash freeze right in front of you and to freeze more people in place and including doing more damage. This will be so powerful, it would even freeze a Big Daddy in place, so how cool is that?
Disappear from sight. See through walls, and sneak up on your foes.
Now, Houdini is probably one of the best perks in the game, despite people not talking about it all that much. Now, in Burial Seed, there was a new course of mechanic that you have to upgrade yourself to be able to be more powerful to use a certain plasmid you wish to have. And yes, you might have to be rank 16 to have this plasmid, but trust me when I say this, it is quite worth it. Not only that you'll be able to go invisible to take down your foes with an instant kill, be able to hack stuff around them for only their devices to turn on their backs and be able to gun them down with ease. Now keep in mind, not everything always lasts forever, so if anything you have about between the time of 5 seconds to do anything with this initial perk, but in that time you'll be able to take down between a few guards, including hacking a few devices in its wake, or for you to stand by and wait for your hero to replenish itself. Whatever it comes to the case, this is a very useful plasmid.
Press to generate a magnetic shield. Hold to absorb damage, and release to throw it back.
Now, Return to Sender is one of the best perks in the game. It depends on initially what difficulty you are playing. If you're playing simply on easy, including on a normal, it's not going to be as useful to you. However, if you're playing on the difficulty of hard or including 99er mode, I do recommend it. Not only that you'll be able to pacify any bullets in front of you, but you'll be able to throw them back also against on the enemy and doing double damage. And if you don't feel like holding down the trigger to hurt your fingers, it can just stand there as a shield and regenerating the bullets at its own. So yes, if any of you guys are playing on hard or including 99er mode, I do recommend this plasmid. It would also get you behind any gunfight that you set your mind to it.
Light up foes to 1,000 degrees. Warning, fire spreads.
Incinerate is also a very useful perk because considering of the amount of DPS and overtime damage you can do to enemies, it is quite ridiculous, and as you return to upgrade it, you'll be able to hold it in and charging your attack to do even triple the damage. Now let's make a comparison how overpowered this plasmid could be. For example, once you first unleash it to a foe, it does over 10% of damage, including after effect damage by 1%. That's not too bad. On the second requirement, it upgrades the damage up to 20% and the after effect damage up to 5%. And of course, at the final example of this perk, it upgrades it by 30% of more damage, and including upgrading the after effect damage up to 10% more. So meaning at this effect, you'll be able to take a crowd of enemies down with ease by one press of a trigger. And these people do react to the fire, so they'll be swinging their arms up and not be able to shoot you at that time. So switch to a crowbar or just shoot them to make your lives more easier.